You know, right now there's a visitor from way beyond our solar system, and it's right here in our cosmic backyard. But this is not your everyday interstellar object. It's something called 3I/Atlas, and honestly, it's challenging everything we thought we knew. So let's dive into this crazy cosmic mystery.
So this thing is cruising in from some other star system, right? But the signals we're picking up, well, they're just plain weird. It's making us ask this really fundamental question. Are we looking at a totally natural, if a bit odd, celestial body? Or could it be something else entirely?
All right, so let's get properly introduced to our guest of honor, 3I/Atlas. Now, it's only the third interstellar object we've ever spotted, but boy, it is not playing by the rules. It's nothing like the ones that came before it, and it's certainly not acting like any comet we've ever seen. It's a true anomaly, and it's making scientists everywhere kind of scratch their heads.
Now, just a super quick refresher on what we're even talking about here. An interstellar object is exactly what it sounds like. It's a rock or a comet that wasn't born here in our solar system. It comes from the ridiculously vast space between the stars, swings by for a visit, and then just keeps right on going.
Okay, and this is where it starts to get really fun. The data we're getting back from 3I/Atlas feels less like standard astronomy and more like a cosmic whodunit. We're picking up this trail of bizarre clues that frankly just don't add up.
Let's put a normal comet side by side with 3I/Atlas so you can see just how weird this is. First off, our comets are basically big, dirty snowballs, lots of water ice. But 3I/Atlas, it's almost entirely carbon dioxide gas. Then you've got the metals. See, in nature, stars cook up iron and nickel together, so you pretty much always find them together. But this thing is shedding nickel without any iron we can detect. And finally, the cyanide. Not only is there a lot of it, the amount is just skyrocketing the closer it gets to the sun.
And hey, we're not just guessing here. Scientists have actually measured this stuff. The object is literally vaporizing about 5 grams of pure nickel every single second. To give you an idea, that's like taking a US nickel coin and having it just poof into gas. Every single second. It's a hard number, a solid clue in this puzzle that absolutely needs an explanation.
And then there's that cyanide. It's being pumped out at an even wilder rate, 20 grams a second. But what's really blowing scientists' minds is that it's speeding up. The production is accelerating, getting steeper and steeper as it swings closer to the sun. This just doesn't line up with any of our standard models for how comets are supposed to behave.
So let's just lay all the bizarre cards on the table. We've got nickel without its buddy iron, a signature we usually see in industrial alloys right here on Earth. The object's almost pure carbon dioxide, not water. Its cyanide production is going through the roof, and get this, even with all that gas pouring off it, the Hubble telescope couldn't see a tail. And the cherry on top, its path is weirdly lined up with the plane of our own planets, not some random angle like you'd expect.
Look, when you get this many anomalies, this many stubborn facts that just refuse to fit into our neat little boxes, you've got to start thinking outside the box, right? The data is so strange that it's led some people, like Avi Loeb, the author of our source material, to ask a really provocative question.
And here it is, straight from the source. Is this anomaly another clue for a possible technological origin of 3I/Atlas? This is the big leap. The hypothesis that maybe, just maybe, this isn't a natural object at all, but something manufactured.
And here's the key piece of the puzzle that makes this idea worth talking about. Well, separating nickel from iron is almost unheard of in nature. The paper points out that it's a totally standard industrial process for us here on Earth when we refine nickel. That's the clue that takes the technological hypothesis from pure sci-fi to something, however speculative, that you can actually debate scientifically.
So what do you do with an idea this huge, this potentially world-changing? Well, the author draws a really powerful comparison to a moment in history when our whole picture of reality got flipped on its head.
Imagine this. You're at the Niels Bohr Institute in Copenhagen. A century ago, this was the place where the absolute giants of physics, Bohr, Heisenberg, Pauli, you name it, they all wrestled with the completely bizarre, revolutionary ideas of quantum mechanics, ideas that seemed impossible, but today are just how physics works.
The author talks about sitting on the very same hard wooden benches where those physicists argued, and he calls the bench a metaphor for the stubborn facts that force them to see the world differently. The point is, today, the weird data from 3I/Atlas, those are our stubborn facts, and we have to be open-minded enough to follow where they lead.
So this debate is fascinating, but it's not going to stay in the realm of theory forever. We've actually got what the author calls an interstellar blind date coming up on the calendar. A chance to get a much closer look and hopefully get some real answers.
So what's the game plan? Well, right now we're here, poring over all the clues from telescopes on the ground. But the real moment of truth, that could be October 3rd, 2025. On that day, NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter is going to be close enough to try and snap a picture of this thing with its super powerful high-rise camera.
And a picture, even if it's a little blurry, could be a total game changer. It could help us finally see the solid object, the nucleus, separate from the bright gas cloud around it. That would tell us its real size, and it could help settle the debate once and for all. Is it a gigantic, very strange comet, or is it something much, much smaller and incredibly shiny? And this brings us to one last, really mind-bending thought to leave you with. While we're all waiting for that picture, the source material asks us to consider this. We always imagine first contact with little green men, right? Biological beings. But in a universe that's billions of years older than we are, maybe the most advanced intelligence isn't biological anymore. What if our first encounter with them is actually with their technology, with their AI? It's a thought that completely reframes the entire search and the incredible mystery of 3I/Atlas.